Oh gosh, that's good for today.
I have that show.
Oh my god, I have
We have a solution. The Whine No Whine Show, where you can be friended and offended all in the same hour, where we gather people from all different walks of life and perspectives, and we talk about everything that everyone has told you not to. Religion, politics, and everything under the sun. Nothing is off limits, and we do it all over a glass of wine. So grab a glass and join us as we save America, one civil conversation at a time.
3, 2, 1, action!
Hi.
Yo, what is up, social media world? I used to say Facebook. It's so hard not to say that anymore because we're like on YouTube and we're on
He's
Twitter
everywhere.
and we're on Twitch and
Instagram.
Yeah, for real.
IG.
There's a thing called Twitch.
I've never heard of that.
Now see, this is the second time this has happened. The first time was with another millennial. I said, give me your millennial card. I'm revoking your millennial card.
What millennial card?
It's a thing.
I just turned 40.
It's digital.
No, I'm a zillennial. It's a thing.
You're
know?
a zillennial?
Yeah, we're like in between millennial and whatever the one before that is.
Generation X.
Generation
Yes.
X.
Oh,
Yeah.
see, anyone else
It's
with
a
a Z
new
like
thing.
Xanax.
It's a new
Zillennial.
thing. Yeah.
That's funny.
Then
I'm
I need to be a
actually,
zillennial.
I'm
because I
actually
did
at
not
the
want to be
very
a
tail
millennial.
end of the baby boomers and the Gen Xers.
See,
I'm
You're a
like,
baby Xer.
yeah, I'm a baby Xer.
I am
Joe.
definitely a
You
pre-millennial.
what?
I'm a zillennial.
Me too.
Z.
Ah, she's
Oh,
a
it's an X
zillennial.
though.
Yours
No?
is X. Why did you-
Yeah.
She's a Z because she's young.
Zillennial.
She's
Our production crew is a zillennial.
And she's wearing the good
Welcome
people
to
ends.
the Whine No Whine Show, people. The only show where you can be friended and offended all in the same hour. That's right. America, we have a problem. You know what I'm talking about.
No, we don't. What are you talking about, Joe?
I lovingly refer to it as the zero to Nazi effect.
Oh.
You've all experienced it, especially on social media. This isn't any given conversation when there's an argument. It's the length of time it takes to go from zero to you're a Nazi. I will now punch you in the face and go outside and set fire to your car.
This happens to me every day. Tell me, Joe, how
Yes.
can I resolve this?
It's the zero to Nazi effect. I'm telling you. Well, we have a solution. It's wine. Glorious wine.
What do you say?
Yes. It's wine and
It's
civil
a
conversation.
It's like communion.
We really are. Yeah, it's like communion, but different. Look, America, we really are trying to solve this issue. We really are trying to solve the problem and show the whole nation that you can sit down and talk about the most serious things, and you can do this online too, and you can have these conversations without being jerks to each other. Just stop being married to an idea. Fall in love with the truth.
Try not being a jerk.
Try not being a jerk. Grab a glass of wine,
So
chill out, and
easy.
have a good time.
That's right.
That's what we're going to do on the show today, and today we are talking about,
Tell him, Joe.
yes, it's no small topic. We're talking about atheism or religion. Which one has been more harmful to humanity?
And there went all the viewers. There it goes.
Yeah.
Excellent. There went all
Yep.
the viewers.
Yep.
So
What are your thoughts, guys? I mean, it's a pretty serious topic, right? So I'm going to turn it over to my guest here, but you guys make sure to chime in with your comments during the show.
Joe, give me one more second. Tell me again. tell us the question that you posed to us again.
Okay,
Slower
so
for the kids in the back.
for the kids in the back row, the slow ones.
You're back there.
Yeah.
Listen.
No, not. Yeah, you. Yeah, that one.
Not the one.
Today we are talking about atheism or religion. Which one has caused more harm to humanity?
Dun, dun, dun.
Bum, bum, bum. Yes. But before we do that, we're drinking a wine called The Oak. The Oak Reserve. It is a 2014 Chardonnay from Santa Barbara, California. And as the name implies, The Oak, this is an oaky wine. It's got a nice acidity to it, a bright acidity. And somewhere back here on the label that I can't read because I'm old and I don't have glasses.
I'm a millennial. You want me
It says it's creamy. It has a creamy texture. And of course a signature toasted oak. Brilliant acidity. So, we're going to enjoy this wine, the Oak Reserve from Santa Barbara, California, 2014. And we're going to tell you what our thoughts are on it at the end of the show. So make sure you stick around for that. All right, I'm going to turn it over to my guests. They're going to jump in and tell us who they are. I'm going to defer to the left over here. So let us know who you are and the shameless plug section of the show. And whatever you want to promote.
So I'm Monique and Monique Wyatt actually, and
well, I disagree.
Well, that's for real.
I'm practicing. I'm practicing.
I got an idea. You want it? I live in Houston. I grew up in Virginia, but I have lived here for about almost 10 years, and now I'm actually in the mortgage industry, and I have been a loan originator for several years now. So my shameless plug is, you want to buy a house or refinance, I'm your girl. But at the end of the day, I'm a very good people person, and I love to work with anybody that wants to buy a house. And that's what I'm looking for, is homeowners or aspiring homeowners, new home buyers, current homeowners that want to buy a house or refinance. That's my forte. But anyway, you can always reach out to me. My website is moniquewyatt.nrlmortgage.com, and I'd love to hear from any of you. Any questions? Call me.
There you go.
I'm
Monica.
just simply Monica Branch, lifestyle expert, realtor of Houston, Texas, devout Christian, lover of God, but more lover of all humans. And if you just type in branch out or I branch out, you'll find me. Cheers.
I was a lover of all humans, and then there was this whole thing of a restraining order.
I have a couple.
It was awkward.
But
I figured that Nazi when they called you a Nazi.
Yeah.
I saw that. I was like, oh my god.
Awkward
I hope he's
moment.
Okay. Yeah.
So, Aldo.
Aldo Mendoza. I'm from 45 Art Center. Artist, designer. Right now we're promoting our anime show. We rescheduled it. It was supposed to be on the 4th of August. It's not been pushed back for a week. We're still looking for artists to contribute. We ran out of vendor space. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I got planned.
All right.
Oh,
Right
and
on.
Catholic. There you go. How about that?
Yeah. Yes. On the first show he was on, he mentioned it was Catholic like 15 times.
Hey,
And-
it was an ethic issue. And I was like,
And nobody let him
Religious
live
thing.
that down for at
Mars.
least the next 4 or 5 hours. So it was pretty awesome. Yeah, and he's Catholic.
Yeah.
So topic: atheism or religion? Which one's been more harmful to humanity?
being a Catholic, I'm going to go ahead and put myself out there and say that the religion has caused more harm, because people have done more in the name of religion to harm and hurt and kill and maim than I've ever heard. I've never heard of the atheist crusade, perhaps. So that's why I think
Well, perhaps they're just not as good at naming things.
maybe they're not good at starting.
They don't come up with these cool slogans like crusade. I mean, it's easy to get behind stuff
Christian
like
crusade.
crusade.
It was more than once. Okay, make sure you put the S.
You have this, like,
Crusade just sounds
you
like
have this ideology, and you're
I would
like,
be involved in
I'll
that.
kill for it. But atheists while they are still all good people, doesn't matter if they have a religion or not, they are just into being good to humans. And right now, that's more what this world needs than just a power to be behind. We do need to believe in God, but we're saying that what's caused more harm throughout our history, I would have to say religion over atheism.
But do you think that there's...
Hang on. See, she wants to dive in.
The moderator.
She wants to dive in.
I'll
get you some
I
more.
like to call
So, that's
Civilly.
wonderful.
Do it civilly.
Love that. But first, we're going to get our 1 minute bullet point thought on what your position is.
Okay.
So, give us your stance, then Aldo, and then we'll attack Monica for her crazy ideas.
I will say, I often get called Monica, so it's quite fun to have Monica.
Hello, Miss Monica.
I can't promise that after another couple classes, I won't just be saying Monica.
We'll get confused, I'm sure.
He often does after.
Monica, go ahead. not you. What are you talking
It's
for?
Monique.
Mother, Mommy, is that you? Mommy, is that you?
I actually want to say that I, as a Christian, and that's my whole life, believe that it depends on the religion. And as a Christian, I believe that your stance in being a Christian can also be divided. And I do think that some Christians look bad because other Christians are not valid, or they take it the wrong way. So I don't want to say that atheism is bad for the society or anything, but I do think that there are religions that do mess it up for the good ones.
I believe both are bad, and I am a man of faith, but
And just so you know, y'all can lean back and be comfortable.
Yeah.
We all
leaning back right now.
Yeah,
we all sat forward.
Well, you're not on point right now either.
We all said maybe we just like sit forward when we're making our point.
I'm
We're like,
5'2",
I have
way
something
taller
to
this
say.
way. I'm way taller this way. So
I was already getting tired. I'm like, golly, this
I
is
have
exhausting.
better posture if I sit like
Thank
this.
you, yes.
All right.
The more
Fine.
But I might be sitting
Fine.
Check me later.
She's
though.
like 6 foot tall, and I'm like 5'2".
5'9", get it right.
So I look like a midget sitting back over here. I'm sorry. A little person. A little person.
There it goes. The show's canceled.
We just lost all the little people. They just tuned out.
Just a couple of small votes.
You offended.
Yes.
I
will be your people.
The sponsors will pull out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're gonna have to make a statement and get.
Yep. Nike. You're gone. They're gone.
But no. From what I've seen on not just one side, both sides, they take this point of view to an extreme. Because I've seen atheists where like you know, like I have a friend who is, hardcore Mexican, like
You can
born
say
and
it. It's
raised.
okay to say it.
No.
Did you know he even kind of
Mexican.
he even kind of said it though with an accent though. He said he's hardcore Mexican.
Well, okay, so the thing is
What is hardcore Mexican anyway?
I don't know. What does that mean?
like
Does
born,
that just
raised,
mean,
and
like,
live the
they're-
lifestyle. Like,
Born, raised, and lived the lifestyle.
because
But
you have
what's the
you have
lifestyle,
Mexicans
though?
and then you have Mexican Americans. Mexican Americans don't necessarily learn Spanish.
Americans.
They understand it, but they don't speak it. They don't write it. They also aren't in tradition.
It's an old reference.
While actual Mexican, and I do get it. I watched it.
Little chicken chong there for you.
But she became an atheist, and we actually had the conversation. And she's like, "Yeah, I've talked to more atheists, and when like just being civil and like someone posts, hey, send a little prayer for my aunt who's dying," they'll be like, "Oh, well, I don't believe in God." You didn't really have to go into their posts and say that. Oh well.
I don't believe in your imaginary friend.
And people would be like, well, just
I
say,
see that
hey,
happen all the
best
time.
wishes. Well, why? No, they're asking me to pray, and I should stay in my stance. And that's like where's being polite? And it's on both sides of the religion, because I've personally recently had somebody who asked me, what am I? Have I found God? I was like, yeah, I have. Because I knew right then and there they were going to start preaching me their religion. Like, I'll hear you out if I'm in the mood for it, but if I'm not, hey, you know what? I found God. I'm cool. You know, let's just talk about something else.
I will just say that the Mormons and the Jehovah's Witnesses have taken me off of their visit list.
Why, Joe?
They won't stop by.
They shouldn't. He drinks a lot of
What
wine.
did you do?
You should.
I invited them in.
Oh, okay.
Then they saw all the cameras and the whips and the chains, and they left.
How
How
do you guys feel about Prince?
Oh, wow.
No, I'm just kidding. No, I
the Catholics did
I'm like, hey, look, I will hear you out as long as you hear me out. We'll have a dialogue. That's cool. And then they don't come back.
But I love instead of how they go knocking
I don't have any problem with them.
door to door, we just go inside people's Facebook and their minds.
That's right. We just crawl all up in your
They
phone.
are also electing to chime in right now.
That's right.
Yes.
They could be scrolling.
That's
right.
very true.
That's right.
And like, to be clear, I have no problem with them. They just don't visit me anymore.
Aw, I'll call some over.
All right, you can invite
Is
them
there
over.
a missing
We'll film
face
it.
in here?
Yeah. So, what are y'all's thoughts on this subject? All right, so you guys have made some comments. I have a very strong opinion on this, so it's going to be difficult for me as a moderator. I have to be able to play the middle ground here.
No, Joe, let me hear what you say.
So, when it comes to doing harm, right, I think there's probably no greater harm than to take life, right?
Right.
Torture, I mean, I think would be
Second.
very close, depending, you know, it's like...
Because if you torture too good, you die.
Yeah, so, I mean, and it could be worse than dying, because people that are tortured just like kill me, so...
Right.
But, you know, regardless, I think, you know, the greatest harm is to take life. And so, how much have you guys studied or know this point? And for our audience, because this is it's kind of a common theme. I hear it a lot, and I'm obviously, as a person that likes to debate and all that sort of thing, religion and stuff comes up on a regular basis.
Some of your posts.
And it comes up on a regular basis. And I think there's kind of a lack of awareness. It's like, it's because things like the Crusades get a lot of press.
You don't say.
Yeah, I mean, there's you know, there's history written about it, and there's also. Wow, sorry.
That's your soul in your body.
That was the chicken Alfredo pizza we had before the show.
He's okay, I promise.
Wow.
Oh, yes, I was.
Quite robust.
Pairs great with this wine.
Even like the Crusades, a lot of people don't know about the Crusades. The Crusades were a reaction.
Yeah.
They weren't a first cause. They were a reaction to something. And I'm not blaming this religion, but it's something that's often misconstrued. The Crusades were a response to Islamic invasion into Europe. And so it was a we got to stop this because they're conquering countries here. And so there was a reaction based on that action. But a lot of times that's laid at the feet of Christianity.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people don't know that. But similarly, how much do you guys know, and how much do you know as an audience? In the last 100 years, what has caused more deaths? Religion or atheism?
Absolutely.
Do y'all know?
Religion. Can you tell me what atheists that you know that we know of publicly, or an atheist religion? Because there are several different types of religions, as Monique pointed out, but there are not separate type of atheists. And there's atheists and there's agnostic.
Sure.
One believes that there is a God. The other believes that there isn't a God. And there are it's different. So these are still two different groups of people we're talking about, on top of trying to split up what religion we're talking about. And I think at the basic end of the day, we just need to be humans. And yes, please God, believe me, I believe that some humans today need God. We need a higher power. We need something to believe in, something to strive for, something to be good for. And on the other side of that, atheists, they are still good people. They don't believe in God, but they believe in being Christ-like, being good to humans. They're not Satanists.
I know some Satanists,
No,
and
that's
they're
a
not
whole
even that
nother.
bad.
That's what I'm saying.
But that's
what
a
people
whole
think.
nother deal in itself. Is
That's what people
Satanism.
think.
But I will say
That's a religion, by the way.
It is.
right. That's what I mean.
Technically,
Like,
atheism is a religion, but
So, right, that's what I was
start
about
another
to say.
conversation about that. I just
who
pissed
is-
off all my atheist friends. They don't like when I say it's a religion, but it's literally, if you go to the dictionary and you look up atheism, in Merriam-Webster dictionary,
a belief system
second one is religion.
a form of religion, and that's what pretty much what
It's
I
a
was
belief
about to
system,
say.
exactly.
So,
That's what a religion is.
The question is, whose belief system?
But if you don't believe in a thing, how can that be a belief system?
A belief in
You
the
believe in
non-existence of a deity is a belief.
At the end of the day, you believe.
Are you sure?
No.
You answered that properly.
But at the end of the day, the individual believes that nothing exists. So that's a belief.
Well, hang on, because I asked you all the questions.
Yeah, you asked the question,
but I was
we
gonna,
never
wait,
got an answer.
Your
Right.
question, I was going to say something, but now I
Please
forgot
do.
your question. Now I forgot what I was going to say. Say it again.
It's okay. My question was, just in the last 100 years, are y'all aware what has caused more deaths, religion or atheism? And I would say, like, let's get specific, because that's kind of a nebulous. In the name of war, conquest,
yes.
that sort of thing. I mean, because just generically saying, there was some random atheist that said, "I'm going to kill you," whatever. I mean, that'd be hard to track.
I truly,
likewise, with any religion.
As somebody who is, and I want to say Christian, but I'm saying that cautiously because I know that a lot of people have given Christians a bad rep. And I'm not on that side.
No,
right? I'm not street corner Christian, blah, blah, blah. But
Own it, be it, it's okay. Our show is a no insult show.
That globally, there have been Christians killed just because they're Christians.
Sure.
To me, that makes me, I don't know what religion, maybe, per se, would be, but I do know that I hear of a lot of people dying simply because they're Christian.
Okay, let me go somewhere with that right quick,
forget
because
the Holocaust.
other people have been
this
killed because of religion.
And I haven't forgotten that, but I'm just saying in recent decades, the Holocaust was
my question was
that.
just the last 100 years.
In recent decades.
Was it the Holocaust?
Even in the last 15 to 20
saying.
years.
You're right.
15 to 20 years even, I feel like I hear of a lot of Christian deaths.
I would like to interject with saying I've not heard of too many atheists that kill gay people because of their atheism, but I do hear a lot of Christians and a lot of people in religion that will kill someone else because they don't agree with their lifestyle. So in my ballpark, the religion is doing more harm than atheism, and that's just on that genre, that field right there.
My question to you, Joe, are you tiptoeing on the subject
I'm not
He's the
of
moderator.
extreme Islamic?
I'm not tipping. I'm not tiptoeing.
Because, like, right now, currently,
He's waiting in
the
the
biggest
water.
religion that everybody is, like, in conflict with is extremist Islam.
Or Christianity.
Or extremist
I
Christianity.
do believe that a lot of people are
Definitely
against
less
Christianity.
extremist Christianity. This, from a global, even if you consider, any kind of sects. I mean, like Westboro, and I mean, they're wacko as they come.
Yes.
Even including those kind of things, there's less Christian extremism these days. We had our period of that, the Middle Ages, around there. We had some definite Christian extremism going on. Like Salem witch trials and whatnot. So certainly had our share of that in the Christian category. Today we're dealing with, and I feel like Islam is just kind of going through its phases, so to speak, just like Christianity went through with that. It's got its extremists, but there's an ideology problem inside of Islam, and that's a different story. But or at least an ideology problem that's taught by a certain sector of that faith, and it just happens on a larger scale. That's a problem. But no, I'm actually I'm not tiptoeing around. I'm really trying to see where your familiarity at with, especially you, because you've made a couple comments I can't wait to dive into.
I'm an open water baby.
Yeah. In that, there's historically, if we look at all religions, because the tricky part, what you were mentioning, where there's Christians being killed. Well, largely that's happening at the hands of other religions.
Correct. That's
right?
what I was going to say.
And so that would support both y'all's position that religion's doing more harm, right? And so that doesn't stack up on the atheist side. That's just religions fighting each other.
Yeah.
But
Right?
if we determine that atheism is a form of religion, and I'm not saying
Sure.
atheists are out killing Christians,
And for the
or
sake
out
of
to kill anybody, but it is,
for the sake of this conversation,
Discussion, yes.
this discussion, I am not putting atheism in the category of religion. Obviously, I've got them kind of juxtaposed to each other, right?
Yeah.
Although I do believe that in the truest sense definition of the word, of what a religion is, a system of beliefs, Merriam-Webster, it's not my opinion, it's the dictionary's opinion. By definition, atheism is a set of beliefs, and it is literally the second definition in Merriam-Webster is that it's a religion. And even in our own country, atheism is recognized in a legal status of being included in a religious belief. So there's all sorts of support for that argument. But for the sake of this conversation, I'm juxtaposing them. I'm not including it as a religion. I'm just saying it's the atheism, no God belief. Which one's done more harm? So my question is that I want to pose to you guys now. Are y'all familiar with any atheistic governments in the world?
No, absolutely not. Every government has some form of religion behind them. I believe even the Roman Catholics had the priests and popes. And once it comes to money, like I believe religion and money, that's why they say money is the root of all evil, because it can make the most honest person, a priest, a pope. It can do...
Hey, my Pope deserves that golden staff and that jet plane and the little private car.
That jet,
I mean, but we all do. we all put into that tithing.
But he
and
speaks
you know,
to God.
God speaks to me in my heart every day. We have a conversation
Sister
every
friend.
day.
Amen.
Every day, yeah. So I think that's all what it comes down to is what's in your heart. And if you've got good things in your heart and you follow God, congratulations, you're a great person. If you follow your heart and you treat people good and you're not a jerk, congratulations. I really don't care if you believe in Buddha, if you believe in God. As long as you believe in something higher than yourself and you want to put something better out in this world and it's for a higher reason for God, Jesus, or whomever, your mom, do it. Be that person.
Okay, here's following to what you're saying. My thing is that both are bad, atheism and religion, because when it comes down to it, it's extremists that give either a religion or belief a bad name.
That's a human
and it's
thing,
also,
though.
but it's
I very much agree with that, and I agree with that in both categories.
But,
I believe
yeah.
I agree with that on the atheist
Because
side and on the religious side.
when you get into power, power corrupts. Absolutely, we all know that. We see it happen all the time, and it also happens with religious leaders. Like a lot of people don't know, Gandhi killed his wife because he believed that medicine is it should all be organic. It should be nature. She shouldn't get medication and get treated by a doctor. She died. He got sick. He demanded a doctor.
That's not what happened to her.
Exactly.
Right.
Like, the same thing with Mother Teresa. Mother Teresa, who, the Catholics look up to her. She's a saint now.
Didn't she live to be like 120 or something? I mean, like she was ancient.
She refused to give medicine to the people that came to her missionary because she believed that God would heal them. She got sick. Oh well, hey, go get me a doctor.
Yeah.
And
Really?
yeah.
I'm gonna have to research that.
And so, but it goes back to, once you're in a position of power, how do you, because it's usually those people that give those beliefs a bad name, and how do you stop that? Like, when are we going back to where religion doesn't dictate how we live, what we decide is right and wrong, but actually just how can I do good
when
to
has that
other
ever
people?
been a thing? When has it not religion been a thing? When even in God we trust. It's on our money. It's on everything. And even if we try to remember when the forefathers came here, they were actually escaping religion.
They
But they were escaping.
But wasn't it in gold?
They were escaping persecution.
Correct.
For the freedom to worship.
For the freedom to.
Thank you. There you go. That's what I'm saying. They shouldn't have had persecution for the freedom to worship. They just should have been able to.
No,
they were escaping.
Hang on, one at a time.
I was going to say, my understanding is that they were escaping the specific rules provided by their government.
The Church of England.
Versus
Under King Henry.
Their ability to worship based on their internal beliefs, which is what America was founded on. Their belief of...
But it wasn't Christianity.
It was founded on Christianity.
It
was not
Presbyterian.
founded on...
It was Presbyterian.
No, but it wasn't
that's
Catholic.
It's Christian.
And that's the difference.
It's form of it. That's the thing with
But
Christianity.
There was
Catholic,
Methodists.
but
Unitarians
European
and
belief system is based more solely on Catholicism, and America's belief system was more based on Christianity, and they're not exactly the same.
They're not.
They have a lot of similarities. They believe in the same God, but the structure of it is completely different.
But here's the thing. The first ones, Pilgrims, they left for religious freedom.
Right.
When our forefathers decided to rebel...
I thought it was 5 fathers. It was 4?
One left.
Yeah.
Fourth.
Yeah.
Don't say it. I'll say it later. I'll say it off camera later.
But when they decided to rebel against
all 4 of the
England,
fathers,
it wasn't because of religion. It was because of the treatment. Like General Washington, he did not become a general until he said, "Hey, you know what? United States, it's its own thing." Because, like, the way they saw Americans back then was, if you were born, raised in America, you're trash. Only pure British people are worth moving up in rank, moving up in riches and everything that the crown will give you. Americans were not. And the reason we decided to rebel was that, hey, I worked, I fought wars for the crown, I did this and this and that. When it came to my promotion, well, you're not British, you're American, so we're going to give it to this British guy who technically wasn't even in the country when it happened, but he's from the crown. So that itself is what caused the conflict. It was mostly Americans being mistreated by European crowned, and not really religion.
That's a very valid point. We have 2 different things going on here, and this is like an American history lesson all of a sudden.
That's right.
We have
it's Friday Texas history.
Right.
Oh man! Oh hell yeah!
We had the Pilgrims. That was a whole separate thing from the War for Independence.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yeah.
That's my birthday.
Go ahead, Joe.
Two separate scenarios.
Yeah.
Right. So we had lack of representation, yet we were being taxed. So that was the
Time out.
the
Who's
big
being taxed? The Pilgrims?
Taxed.
Yes.
Like
Tax.
the European
Taxation
government
without
was still
representation.
taxed.
So that was the
Taxation
whole
was also a
war for
Correct.
independence was,
That's-
look, y'all are taking
that
money
was the
from us,
reason.
but we don't get a say in what's going on.
Right.
So that was that part. We had the bailing on England in the first place thing because we had King Henry and we had the Church of England, and he said, hey, unless you're Church of England, you're not in good standing with me, and that's a problem because I'm the king. So that was a exodus in the first place kind of a thing. All right. All relevant points. Even our nation being founded on Christianity, it's a speech I give all the time. There's this whole kind of a logical train of thought that in the Declaration of Independence, we hold the truth to be self-evident. All men are created equal. And
it's never been true, by the way.
In doubt, it is, absolutely.
That has never been true.
It is. That's a whole other show,
slaves,
though.
So the slaves were not
hang
being
on.
created equal when those men wrote
But
that.
they were
hang
in the
on.
Christian eye. Yes, they were.
Hang on.
It's sin
Hang on.
that caused that.
Let's go back to religion.
All right, we're gonna.
people.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're gonna have a whole separate
but
topic.
sin is religion. So sin caused slavery. That's my opinion.
Greed caused slavery.
Which is sin.
Hang on.
It-
First of all, slavery,
deadly sin.
when the Declaration of Independence was written,
Exactly.
was
not
worldwide.
good, man.
It was blacks owning whites. It was whites owning blacks. It was whites owning whites. It was
Our-
blacks owning blacks.
our
Hang on, let me
Declaration
finish.
of
Hang on, let me
Independence
finish.
was not worldly. It was for U.S. It
Hang
wasn't
on.
worldly.
Hang on, let me finish. Gosh, listen to the whole statement and then object. All right. My point is that slavery was worldwide. It was not based on any religion.
And
It was
it's
based
still
on.
global.
Let me finish. Practice hearing the whole statement.
Ugh.
It was based on economy, not on color of skin. Period. Blacks own blacks. Whites own whites. It was economy, purely. When the Declaration of Independence was written, that was a worldwide pervasive economic system. It existed globally. They didn't even think about it in the terms of being created equal or not being created equal. They could say a free black person or a free white person was created equal. It wasn't even their mindset to ponder the idea of skin color in that process. And the proof of that is that all of our founding fathers, when confronted with the hypocrisy of those words, that all men were created equal, all dealt with it differently. Thomas Jefferson, who penned those words, ended his life in abject poverty despite being born into great wealth, right? Because he was confronted with the conflict of his own words. And he was like, in essence, I grew up a spoiled kid with a big freaking farm and people working for my family and all. I just like, that's the way life is. And somebody said, yeah, how about those words, Tom? Created equal. It's like, dang, you got a good point, bro.
And then he looked over at Sally, the slave that he was banging,
Yeah.
and he had 13.
Wait, why am I Sally?
Because
So
look
listen.
at you. Look at you. That's why you're Sally.
And so he ended up freeing all his slaves, and by the end of his life, he was selling off his books and his possessions just to get by, right? Which at the time, that's like, you know, that's your wealth, is your library and all that sort of thing.
Well,
And so my point is to say that they all dealt with it in different ways, but at the time that that declaration was written, it was written in the terms of the world economic structure that was people own people all over the freaking world at that point. And that sucked, but that was reality,
But-
right? So anyway, that has nothing to do with this talk.
No, it does. Well, it does to me
does.
because in my
Okay,
view,
that's fine. Tie it back to this talk if you can tie it back to
Yes.
this talk, please.
Because when they did that, it was a group of gentlemen that sat around with each one different points of view, different points of religion, different aspects of everything, who civilly gathered together and said, hey, you know what? We need to make laws and structure that will unify a country that will last for centuries so we do not repeat what happened here.
I think it is. It's worth tying back to the subject
Yeah,
because it really is.
when you gather an atheist and someone who is highly religious, you never get that civil conversation. It's also with politics. Everybody wants to outshow one another. They don't want to.
Aldo, how do you
learn.
keep drinking all your wine when you're talking?
Oh, I'm sitting down and chugging while you're talking.
It's like a magic trick.
Look at
His
over there.
sips are bigger than ours.
It's like a magic trick.
He's like a real
Well, I
Mexican.
am a
He's like
big
a real
boy. I'm
Mexican.
sorry. Yeah.
Just drinking wine. It's a real Mexican right there. It's like,
All right, so
Wine
look,
is just water with flavor.
I want to ask you a fun question. Do you think that, and I want to really direct this to you, right? But everybody chime in. But really, I want to make sure you get in on this, right? What do you think has created, as a government, what do you think has created more freedom? America or China?
I've not experienced, but what I've heard, like those are two different machines. China and America, two different machines, like apples and rice cakes. They're not the same thing.
Well, I don't disagree with that, but
Yeah,
so I'm
so
still posing my question.
We can't speak to the freedom allergies because
Why?
they are raised by dynasties, and you realize that we are so under the rule of the King of England. That's why we have presidencies. The answer is democracy.
I'm
The
like,
answer is democracy.
at the end of the day, do you think people are freer in America today or in China?
It depends on what you call freedom. And for what we call freedom,
Freedom to say what you want.
The freedom to be a
to speak out against
we're
your
not
government.
All, we're not all free. So to me, freedom has
You
a
don't
different
think we're free in
definition.
America?
That's
Oh,
not what
no.
I said. No, ma'am.
Really?
That's not what I said. I just said that there are different definitions of freedom. China's
He said
freedom
no.
I'm just
is
asking.
way
No.
different than
It's a
what we
question.
have as freedom. But there are people here in our society that don't have freedom.
But I
Let me ask,
when
let me ask.
when
Go
I
ahead.
think of China having, and I like I said, I'm Christian, and when I say Christian, I believe in Jesus, Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. I'm not a preach on the streets Christian. Okay, like there's two.
She hates preaching on the streets,
Visions.
Christians. That's what she
There's
said.
two different concepts of
Listen,
my,
Brother Joe.
Okay, but
Let
my
her
point
talk.
is when
I
I
didn't know
think
you were so
of
anti-Christian.
how in the last
Wow.
several
Nazi.
long time in China.
She's doing so good too. Like she is still rolling with
I'm
her
just-
so
I
well.
have a point.
We're over here just jacking with you, and you're like so flawlessly
because I'm
going.
not listening to you
It's
because
so
I know what
good.
I'm about to say.
I'm sorry. Go.
in
You're doing
China, over the last 20 years, when they have to smuggle Bibles into the country because you cannot read it or possess it or purchase it freely, to me, that 100% is not freedom.
Okay, let me
and
talk
that's
a
just
minute.
one example that I know.
That's great.
And I don't even know everything
I'm glad
else.
that you just brought up the Bible. So that's something else I want to talk about when we talk about religion. Why does a Bible who came down from God have so many different versions? Because it was a book edited down to form what somebody wanted it to look like for money reasons, and not just because religion and God. It's because they used God to put fear into people to do what they wanted.
No.
Only
well,
one.
first of all, I feel like, okay, so the Bible has been translated many times by many languages. I'm trying to be serious here.
Okay.
And I'm
The
not
show
gonna
is
lie.
lighthearted and serious.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little rusty on this whole talk.
That's why he doesn't tell us.
It's been a while since I've been in depth with
The guests know, but I'm going to remind you, nobody knows the topic until they show up.
And he's already given us wine.
And I liquor them up on top of that.
I love the format because it's literally
This is life.
Individual.
This is life.
Yeah,
exactly. This is real. This is organic. Exactly.
I'm just saying, I from my life experiences in my adult life, I know that in China you cannot fully protest, for example, Christianity, without the potential of being shot to death. And to me, in America, hey, I have a fear sometimes, but I know that I can literally admit my foundational belief and not be risking
If you'd like to look at some of the protests from the 1940s, 50s, or 60s, you will see how some police and they used brutality to stop protests and protesters who had no weapons, who had nothing but their bodies and yelling words for their beliefs. So that happens here too. We're just not as privy to it. 100%. That's what I'm saying. China's completely different.
But as far as being able to have the freedom to speak your mind,
but we can still get hurt. That's my point. So we don't exactly have that.
Well, and I get that, but that to me is not a religious thing. That to me is a very social thing, and it's a very prejudiced.
How about the when someone speaks Satanism?
Comparatively.
But I was going to say another point, but I forgot what it was.
I had a really good friend in high school who was a Satanist. He hid it. He opened up to me because we had this civil conversation. We were talking about religion. I was telling him all the bad stuff from Catholics, some of the hypocrisy. And so he was like, "Hey, you know what? I'm an atheist." I was like, "Oh man, that's so badass!" And he was just shocked that a Catholic was like, "Oh, that's so cool," because the only time God, even in the Bible, it said the only time God wrote was the Ten Commandments. He never wrote the Bible. The Bibles are interpretations of what happened by other individuals. And what a lot of people, for example, Mexico, which is hardcore religious, during the history of Mexico, there's a period called the fight of the Christians. And what it was is the government. The president at the time realized, hey, if the Pope comes over and says, all of y'all are going to rebel on the government, we're screwed. There is so much devotion and faith in our people that if the Pope has decided to just, I don't like you, I'm out of power. So he banned every religion, which at that point was just Catholic. And so it became into a civil war. And if you go back, and it is history, they try to erase it. Anything that happened at that time, they burnt after the issue got resolved because they were like, we can't kill Mexicans. We can't kill our own people over religious freedom.
Send a memo.
The first show.
But what was so crazy?
Stop with the killing of Mexicans.
My great grandmother, God rest her soul, I was able to talk to her about it, and we had conversations. And she would tell me, my father would dress me up really pretty on a Sunday afternoon, say we're taking a ride, But before that, early in the morning, him, his friends, and my uncle emptied out the car completely, stripped it, took off all the cushions in the seat, filled it up with ammunition and arms, because they were going to go deliver it to the rebellion for the fight of our beliefs. There's a tree in Mexico where they hanged a priest, and to prove it, they left the body there and said, from now on, if you believe in God, this is what's going to happen to you.
Well.
And so there even.
I know that
even Christianity can be.
But that happened to Jesus.
But here's the thing.
You know?
There was a priest in that rebellion who went mad, and he killed for sport.
And that sucks.
So even people of faith can be corrupted. Even people of government can be corrupted.
True. And that's because of sin.
But it's all about power play. It was a power play. Yeah. It was the people saying, look, you can't take away my religious freedom, and it's the government saying, hey, you know what? You have too much power.
Monique, what did you ask about Moses when he said about
the it's about who wrote the Ten Commandments. But I was going to say, there's something I was going to say earlier, and I remembered. She said, didn't Moses write the 10 Commandments? But I remembered earlier what I was going to say was what you had asked about the different translations of the Bible. And I remember I was going on something with that, and then I got distracted because I'm like,
why?
Because I was gonna say
it's so good. We went to the box.
There's legitimately like the Bible has been written by eyewitnesses, and back in the day, I mean, it's like they didn't have like Facebook or social media or text or whatever. So they had a document.
But it was just dial-up.
Yeah.
It was a lot slower.
So this was like stories that were told to people who wrote them, and that's and it's understandable how you could question things about it, and that's just the bottom line of Christianity is where it's like, okay, I can read it, I can understand it, but at the same time, it's the word called faith that says I may not fully understand it, but there's something called faith that tells me that I can get it whenever, like God reveals it to me.
Okay, well, what about Judas?
What about Judas?
Judas wrote, but no one in Christianity acknowledges his writings or what he believed in.
How do you know he wrote?
The system was that
because there is a book of
my understanding.
Judas did write.
There's also
Dead Sea Scrolls.
There's literally about 300 different books written by apostles.
A lot of people. So the Bible came together because of a
don't forget Mary Magdalene. Don't forget.
It's almost
Ruth.
like
How do you know they're real or not real?
It's right. So it's almost
because there's
like
a process.
It's almost like
there is
a community of people, but they're all like priests or whatever who knew or witnessed these things, came together and scribed the book of the Bible together.
But just like any other book, it gets edited, and it gets edited because some of those people die.
Right, but that's just translation.
The biggest.
But that's not changing.
It's interpretation.
That doesn't change the scripture of it.
Thank you for the high five, by the way.
No problem.
So
I was going to leave you heavy. You can't.
Listen.
I have a minute to go.
We'll make time because we haven't even done the halftime break, and we're like an hour in. I'm going to tell you. I will tell you. We have long shows. It happens.
That's what she said.
Toast to that.
And that.
Wow.
Sorry.
So I will tell you, we've kind of meandered all over the place with this topic, and I will tell you that it's very tough for me personally because it's a favorite topic. I can talk about this. We could be here 3 hours. But we need to dial it back to, as much as I want to answer why there's different translations and all that sort of thing, which I know a lot about. At the end of the day, the question is, what's done more harm?
Religion.
Right?
Bye, guys. Thank you for joining us. Friday, 6 p.m. We'll be
So we're going to take a commercial break.
We're going to miss you guys.
Ready, and
I'm trying to clue my production crew in right now. We're going to take a commercial. We're going to take a commercial break.
I love that nod. That was priceless.
break. And when we come back from the break, I want to bring my meandering panel of guests back to this question. Which has done more harm? Because I was leading up to a couple series of questions, which I don't think you guys may be aware of. And I was asking what governments, if you're familiar with, right, what governments were atheistic? I don't know that anybody knows an answer to that.
No, we already answered that. Yeah. None. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. See you right for the commercial
that
break.
Would be false.
But
we're going to go to a commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about it more.
Google it during commercial break.
Quickly go to the restroom. We're going to commercial break now.
Do you suffer from chronic back pain? There is a solution to the suffering. The Body Mechanics, an orthopedic and medical massage-focused practice that specializes in helping clients work through and overcome musculoskeletal injuries and chronic pain. By applying our science-based concepts through the art of massage therapy techniques, we can help you eliminate that pain. At the Body Mechanics, we take it as our responsibility to provide our clients with the highest level of care. We take time to get to know you, your history, and your obstacles, and most importantly, your wellness goals. We help you meet your goals through skillfully applied advanced massage therapy techniques and recommending self-care routines to improve overall well-being. Come in today and let the Body Mechanics apply our years of training and expertise to soothe away your aches. Mention this ad and receive our functional movement assessment for free, a $35 savings.
I want to give it applause to Monica, who managed to.
Monique.
See, I told you before the end of the show I would mess up.
It's on everybody's lips.
You guys said somebody would mess
Monique.
up. First.
Monique.
Monica's always on.
Managed to get.
I didn't mean it that way.
That's not my
You just got
yes. Yes. So she managed to make it back. Restroom break. There we go. All right, so listen. I posed the question, which countries on the earth were atheistic? And specifically, they absolutely, and it's something that you guys actually should know because y'all you've at least already touched on this. You've already said it. Which governments specifically outlaw, which it's against the government's position to have religion, to practice religion.
Yeah, but...
Right? You already touched on it.
No, you let her say butt, Joe. You let her touch the butt, Joe.
But I thought... Okay, I touched on China, specifically. But I thought that they were...
Was it okay with China?
China?
Buddhists or something.
Is it?
Atheistic.
They are atheistic?
Absolutely.
Okay, well then I
Well,
nailed
technically
it.
not really, because their president, their first
I thought
president,
that they were like Muslim
created the sun
like,
and the sky and
Not
dolphins
Muslim.
and
No.
he forts rainbows.
Buddhist.
and
Hang
all
on.
this other stuff.
Hang on. You're going back before the current existing government. So China's been around a lot longer than the current existing government.
For
There's
dynasties,
a big difference.
as a matter of fact.
And so, yes, for thousands of years. And so my point is, I said, what governments on the earth are atheistic? Right? They're
No, Kim Jong-un's dad,
so that's Korea.
But that's
Different
not
place.
the same
Different
country.
place. China, since communism, has outlawed religion. Cannot be religious. It's actually against the law to practice Christianity, which is why it's illegal to have a Bible.
Which is
Right?
why they...
It's not the only country. It's not the only country. The same goes for Russia.
Russia?
Yeah,
Yeah, they're communists.
they're communists.
Oh, yeah.
Communism, by nature, is...
Yeah, but they don't kill Christians.
He kills a lot of people.
But Joe's argument,
I don't know if they did. I don't know.
Oh, they kill like there's no tomorrow.
And
I'm
so,
just going to be that girl that doesn't know.
That's what we're here for.
That's what you were
we
here,
need to
yeah.
get some
Yeah,
we need
I'm
to get
aware
some
now.
comments. We need to get some comments going here.
I'm
But
pretty
I want to kind of close this point out. All right? Underneath secular humanism atheistic governments under Mao alone in China. Over 60 million killed. 60 million. This is within the last 100 years.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
If you compile all the religious wars, if you compile all the crusades, you name it.
Are you counting the abortions?
Abortions? No.
Wow.
Because they don't.
But that
they
is-
have a limit on how many children you can have
What
and
about-
what gender they can be.
Wow.
No.
So are you including
No.
those
Is
too?
that religion or
No.
political that they do
But
that?
it's
They do
political
that.
Well, it's
in
under.
America.
It's under.
In America,
I wasn't
it's
including
political.
that, but
Oh, okay,
but
okay.
no, but
Because
That's
that's a
what
really
I-
big
I
number.
think
it is. It
America.
absolutely is. So
In America, I feel like that's political. In other countries, it's not.
yeah, so I'm definitely not including that number. Although it's irrelevant, there's an argument to be made there. But nevertheless,
That's
nevertheless,
a whole nother thing.
my point is that under Mao alone, there's over 60 million that were killed. Under Mao, just one atheistic dictator, secular humanism, right? And so my challenge always to any atheist anywhere who wants to make the argument, and in this case, y'all, not you so much, you were in the fence, but the two of you guys, with the religion being more harmful than atheism, to consider that I don't think a lot of people are aware that there are secular governments where religion is outlawed. The very definition of atheism, right? A non-belief, and it's an enforced non-belief in God. That these governments are responsible for over 100 million deaths in the last 100 years. I would challenge you to find anywhere.
Okay,
Total
you
them
just said
all.
government, and that's not religion unless
Oh,
the
wait a minute.
government's
It's
being led by religion.
Listen,
And once those two
it's
get in
the
bed
it's the
together,
religion of
we're in trouble.
it's the religion of atheism. It is the enforced belief in no God.
What about
It
Islam?
literally, it's forced, right? If you counter that position, you'll be jailed. If you get out of jail,
Or
you're
you'll be killed.
really lucky.
What about Islam?
You disappear for a long time, all right? That's both Russia and China, right? And she already kind of talked about the smuggling Bibles in, the underground church, all that kind of stuff. There's some really crazy stories about that. So,
Leave me hanging too.
all right, all right. So I'll just finish. I'll finish that point because I was kind of leading all up to that point. Is that in the last 100 years, secular humanism and governments that enforce it legally are responsible for over 100 million deaths. If you take all of the holy wars, if you take the Crusades, if you take, go tally up all of the numbers for all religions, not just Christianity, Islam, all of them, lump them all together, double it, triple it, even quadruple it, you still won't get close to the deaths just under Mao.
I beg to differ.
I've done the numbers many times, I'll take that challenge. Let's
but here's
go.
the thing, like Islam, for example, they don't report the crimes. They don't report the deaths. All they say is,
Do all atheists report the deaths? That's a variable that is on both sides.
Yeah, it is, but you can't say one is over the other because
So of the known deaths of all the religions,
it has to be.
if you study historians on both sides, and I'm not talking about
But here's
Christian
the
historians,
thing,
just
in
historians on
Islam
both sides, you'll
in
end up
countries,
with.
over there
Go
in the
ahead.
Middle East, it's not worth reporting to them. By their religious belief, that was a righteous kill, and we don't need to worry about it.
All right.
So
And so how much of that occurs in a government that literally forces people not to believe? By law, forces them not to believe. How much of that occurs to the same degree? My point is that variable is insignificant because it happens on both sides.
Because, my thing is, the big issue with Islam is that they did not separate church and state. Church is the state. And they're an example of what happens when church is absolute. And so when a crime like that, like, oh, you don't believe in our religion? We'll kill you, and it's okay, and it's not a big deal. We just say, hey, he went on vacation. That's why you can't find him. And literally, that is what they do. In Europe, it's now
so let me ask you.
known what acid bath is.
So let me ask you:
it's
how
only
many?
there.
How many? Because I've kind of answered that in saying that the same applies to how many people just go on vacation or end up in prison in China for not following the rules, for being a believer of some sort, and disappear for the same reasons. My point is that that variable is going to exist on both sides of the table.
Okay.
So when we measure to the best of our abilities that scholars have laid it out, it's not even close. It is a fraction. It's a tenth of the number when you look at the secular humanist governments
but you're comparing
and their murder
to
levels.
A country that is okay with acknowledging the murder because they're like, this is what's going to happen to you if you don't follow the rules.
Let me tell you, Islam's pretty clear about what happens to unbelievers.
To
There's no mystery. Yeah, try to be an openly professing Christian in Saudi Arabia. See how that goes.
No, I'm not saying I'm not standing up for them because my thing is.
No, I know you're not. I'm just saying it's not
blessed
it's
and
the
educated because my first wife was Muslim. And I'm
not saying I have anything against Muslims.
No.
That's the
that's
difference
the thing.
between knowing and not knowing what you're, like.
So
look.
We have to get to some comments. We've literally went an hour and we haven't even touched on a comment. Right?
Okay.
I just wanted to get that. I wanted to get that argument out there so that the audience, as well as you guys, could kind of marinate on that idea.
You can read what people say.
Yeah, we're gonna throw some comments up.
You got. My thing is in China, they
China
boast on murdering, while in Islamic countries, it's shameful to have a gay son who's been murdered. So you don't acknowledge that. So
you just throw him off the roof.
They don't. They throw.
No tally.
They do a lot of messed up stuff. But the thing is I totally understand your view, but it's also a country that focuses on it.
So wrong. I hear your point, dude. I'm just saying there's not shame in those countries in reporting. It's an honor kill. It's happened here in the United States.
It literally.
It's happened here in the United States.
It just happened in Houston.
Yes.
In the last.
I'm sorry, it is.
But that was behind religion. Thank you.
That was a religion death.
That's what I mean.
Oh yes.
So that's what also makes religion.
I am tallying all those. I'm Talibaning all those.
Religion.
Mac Blankenship, religion. Atheism is a relatively new idea and has not had thousands of years to murder unbelievers. Definitely religion.
That's true.
Mac, again, I will issue the same challenge to you. Pull up your Google. Pull up the Google.
The Google.
And Google all of the religious wars and tally up the deaths.
You think Google's going to become a religion?
Oh, and I'll tell you, listen, I will tell you, Google is not a fan of religion.
It's not?
I will tell you, Google's not a fan of religion. So Matt Blankenship, go to Google and look for all deaths because of religion. Just Google it. All deaths because of religion. And find every holy war and every crusade and everything you can possibly think of. Tally all those up. You're going to get a number of about 10 to 12 million, depending on what scholar you ask. And multiply it by 5, and you still haven't got to the number of deaths that happened under Mao alone, who is an atheist dictator, and their government is atheism. It doesn't have to be around for thousands of years because they're very efficient killers. Atheism, by far, has killed more people. Not even close. It's not even close. It's a tenth. It's a fraction. So, there you go. Blowing up on you, bro.
But we have China and Russia as atheists, and then we have the rest of the world. So I'll let Joe do the math on that. I haven't Googled anything because he gave me Whine and no info. That's fine. Jordan Anderson, I'm sorry, but I don't think it's fair to attribute actions in their respective worldviews if it is not done in its name. That would mean any Christian or atheist that...
What happened to this mountain? It's gone!
Oh my
God,
as a point someone's to the team. Drunk. Let me help him out.
That's right,
Jordan,
Joe.
It's on that side.
Yeah, that was for Jordan. I'll say it again. Jordan says...
I don't understand.
That was a joke.
Jordan says, I'm sorry, but I don't think it's fair to attribute actions in their respective worldviews if it is not done in its name. That would mean any Christian or atheist that kills some adds a point to the team. Good point, Jordan. Point to you.
It's a great point. It's a great point because
what did it say?
I'll give you an example. Hang on, I'll give you examples. An atheist posed to me in very recently, in the last couple days, to say, well, how about all the Native Americans that were killed in the name of Christianity? I was like, hold up. I don't think General Custer was running around going, "In the name of Jesus, I slay thee." Right? No. It was the.
But that was genocide.
Yeah. Look, I'm not saying it wasn't jacked up. I'm just saying no one was running around in the name of Jesus killing people.
But do you think it wasn't back behind religion, or why do you think that they did that to the Indians?
But hold on. Listen, I'm saying, to Jordan's point, no one was running around saying, "In the name of Jesus, we kill people," right?
Wait, can I read it again?
But, sure. Throw Jordan's comment back up. My point, then I said...
They called them savages.
Hang on. Listen, I said, in response to that, how many Native Americans were there? Do you even know? Right? Most people don't. Estimates are between 2 to 4 million.
How can we know, Joe?
The Google. Look it up.
The Google wasn't around in the days before the interwebs.
We have...
Mic drop.
We have... Like it was required to be around in the 1700s for it to record it properly.
Of how many Indians they were.
Which is why there's a 2 million variable. I mean, that's a pretty freaking big variable. All right?
Thank you, U.S. Census, for finally keeping up with us.
Right. So
they went back in time in the DeLorean.
Listen. So I'm going to address George's point here. Right? This atheist said, "Oh, well, how many of the Native Americans were killed in the name of the Jesus?" You know, I'm like, well, none, because I'm not aware of anybody running around saying, "I kill you in the name of Jesus" during that period. But I'm like, let's pretend that literally every Native American was killed in the name of Jesus. Right? How many were there? Let's tally it up. 2 million to 4 million is the estimate of the population. I'm like, let's go with the high number. Let's take the biggest number possible, 4 million. How does that compare to 60 million in China? To Jordan's point, I'm sorry, but I don't think it's fair to attribute actions in the respective worldviews if it's not done in its name. It is done in the name of atheism in China. Atheism is the enforced belief system in China. But it is law in China. So unlike here in the United States, let me finish. Unlike here in the United States, there was nobody running around in the name of Jesus killing people. But let's pretend like, I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt and say it was all 4 million. That wasn't the law. No one was killed. None of the Native Americans were killed because it's the law. In China, it is the law.
There's a regulated government law, and then there's religious law. And those are definitely 2 different laws.
Of course, but it is a belief system. I'm addressing Jordan Anderson. Look, listen.
It was
you know
done
his point.
in the name of communism, not atheism.
And communism is the absence of God. It's the enforced belief that there is no God. That is absolutely atheism.
Okay, communism is.
Please defend that point, because communism is the enforced belief in no God. It is by very definition an enforced belief in no God. That is the nature of communism.
Communism is a branch off of socialism, and socialism is a branch off of believing that everybody should be equal and that every man and woman should have a job.
But they don't have the freedom. They don't have freedom.
Exactly. They don't have freedom.
Which is the whole point of this whole night.
But no,
his
point is that those killings were based off of atheism. They were not based off of atheism. They were based off the laws of communism.
Part 2 next Friday.
They were
after we've all done
Aldo, when the belief system, done in the name of, when the belief system has literally put it in writing that you can't believe in God, what do you call that?
A tyrannical government.
I call that by very definition atheism. Atheism. When you are not allowed legally, by law, in writing, to believe in any God, not just a Christian God, not Muslim, not just any God, that is atheism.
Okay,
and so when your punishment is jail and you disappear,
correct, then why is it in England they left Christianity and decided to make their own religion, and any religion outside of theirs was against the law? The same thing goes to the Battle of the Cristianos in Mexico. It's not an atheism belief. It is a belief that power is being pushed away from government. and it is a government play. It is a
Okay.
power play. It
Hold
is
on.
not a religious play.
You had this like meandering
Okay,
rabbit
so-
trail of thoughts here. Again, we're talking about deaths in communist China,
Yes.
which has nothing to do with Mexico, which has nothing to do
No,
with
but
England.
your
Hang
point
on.
of that was
Hang on.
that when a government does that, it is an atheism
No,
government.
no. That's not my point.
Not necessarily. It
That's not my
happened in
point.
Mexico, and it wasn't an atheism
That's
government.
not my point. That's not my point.
And it wasn't even a communist government.
So, listen. In a government, i.e. China, which is why I mentioned them,
Yeah.
where the law of the land specifically states in the law you are not allowed to worship. You are not allowed to have a God. You are not allowed to have a belief. Atheism. That is their law, right? Forget England, forget Mexico. That is China's law. And under that system, over 60 million people have been killed.
So under
So-
God we trust, how many people have been killed?
Not 60 million.
We have a history.
A lot, but
Whoa,
not.
what
the-
about Vietnam,
but,
bro?
But not for
Told
the
them all.
reason of
Told
believing
them
in
all.
Jesus.
We
Like,
kill a
not
lot
for
of people.
Christianity.
No, you're right. No,
America
Christianity
is
under
not
that
washed
belief. It's a blanket, though.
But
from-
also
I don't disagree.
It's been a blanket, though.
It has been, but it has been a
That
lot
was
of.
under a blanket of Christianity and stuff that people have been killed and pulled under it. Like, if you don't go under these beliefs and how we live and how God and the Bible told us you should live, then that goes underneath this blanket. And if you're not in it, you're going to get in this net and we kill you and you're dead. Because we only want the people who believe what we believe.
So listen, I don't entirely agree with that.
I don't either.
But my point is,
'Cause I don't-
I'll take your worst case scenario. I'll say the same thing I said to the atheists. All right, let's pretend that General Custer was running around saying, "I kill you in the name of Jesus," right? And he literally wiped out all of the Native Americans, not some,
Everyone.
all of them.
Everyone.
Right? Give me the number that scholars say was the max.
Okay, now
right?
let's
Not
talk
even
about-
like the low number. I
Okay,
want the
now
max.
Let's go a little farther than that. You want to talk about China and their history, which is way larger than American U.S. history. So these numbers of Custard and the numbers of China can't even be compared. It's not fair. It's not a fair comparison.
Okay, so
I get what you're
Not
I
only
get
that,
what you're
China is
saying.
bigger than.
But-
so do humans count
Can
less
you-
because there's more of them somewhere?
Humans count
Because
everywhere.
of
That's our
time?
problem.
This is my point.
Humans
Thank you for
count.
supporting my point.
I understand what you're saying, though. But
I did not support
How about we take another question?
I mean, civilly. Not,
My point is that, I mean, like, if you killed 60 million and then 4 million here, I mean, it's tragic no matter.
give us
right?
time. Like, we're working on it. China's had way more time to kill people out of.
Hey, we haven't had as many to kill here. If we had more...
We have. We just keep kicking them out of the country.
If we had more...
that's another discussion.
What's not...
What's in this wine?
Oh my god.
California? Oh, your fault.
Hey,
It's
can
not
I-
my fault they're not
No,
from
this is
Norway,
Boston.
But can I just say something
No
on that?
way.
Sweden, any of the really, less tan places.
I don't even know what I'm
Look at
going
me.
to say. I retract.
You retract. Well, what are you gonna
You
say?
guys don't even know how much I love her, so like she's
Something
like
to
one of
the
my favorite
effect
people on the planet.
Joe,
we can
come
we
on.
can jack
Let's
with
talk.
people like you.
Like
guys.
America, like I would say, I understand what you're saying, but you know what I also know? That America has also brought in way more people than China has, as far as other belief systems and other
That's for sure.
cultures.
There's a reason why we
and
call us the melting
dynamics.
pot.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So
It was.
how can you, for sure, attribute to most of the deaths, like we're talking about, in America, to religion?
Which that kind of gets back to my question earlier. I said which place
You
created more freedom?
cannot
Which place
literally
has created more freedom?
say that you know without a doubt a certain percentage of murders or deaths in America have been because of religion.
In
You can't-
America,
because
we actually
America-
can. We can track it though. We can track it a lot
But
better.
can't
Hang on,
we-
hang on.
China.
But can we really? I don't think so. Because the problem, I think, is that people in America claim stuff, but they're not.
Yeah, well, that's true. So hang on. 2 points.
I know
Ash,
way too many people who say
production
Christian
crew.
and they're not.
Two things. One, do we have comments ready? Do we have comments? Sort of. We've got. I know there's been a ton of comments because I've been watching them.
She's like, what show are you watching?
Huh?
It's just people yelling at each other.
Yeah!
Chaos!
Hey, and Ashley, tell them civilly discuss, guys. No yelling at each other.
Right.
This is
Comment B.
No potty mouth.
Yeah.
Comment B.
We're
People.
all friends here.
Yes. Here's the thing, and this is a great reminder for us. I really want to stress this because this is a great skill for you guys in the comment feed, for us here. Ash, do we have can we play another commercial break?
This brought to you by nobody.
Do you have another, like the body mechanics?
Make a commercial for you for another time.
Okay, because I want to run another commercial because I have to use source. I'm gonna run the commercial. But when we come back, I want to explain a step. I want to explain a process here for you guys. Listen, ready to go? All right. So I want to explain this. Ponder this. We're gonna do a commercial break. When we come back, we're gonna take some comments from the comment feed. Here's the deal. When you disagree with somebody, especially if it's a really strong disagreement, because it's actually happened here tonight, where somebody was restating a point of view, but they said something different than what the point of view was. So, if you really, really disagree with somebody, a great skill to practice is, once they have stated their point, repeat back to them the point that you've heard them say as you understand it. So, to example, Aldo, if I understand you correctly,
You're being an idiot.
you want to kill all of alpacas. You feel like
no, that's
all
you,
alpacas.
Joe. Joe and his alpaca murder.
That's always my go-to example. It's absurd. That's the point. You want to kill all alpacas.
No, I don't.
And they should be shot on sight, right?
Where did you hear this fucking rumor? So I made.
Quit lying, Aldo. You know it's true. No, my point is to say, if you hear a point of view and express it back.
Yes,
all right. No, I really meant llamas, not alpacas.
Oh,
right.
shit.
Right.
Now it's all over.
Right. So my point is, if you repeat back the person's point, it lets them know, number one, that you were actually paying attention. Probably one of the most grievous errors that we make when we're debating people is that we're just listening and waiting for the person to shut up so we can tell them what we already think.
Hold on, I just wanted to say that I knew he was already going to say that because I was already thinking it while he was talking.
Exactly!
I
knew that's where you were going with
that. Exactly!
I'm sorry, go ahead and finish.
And so, if you allow the person to finish their point, you don't talk over them, you allow them to finish their point, and then you share back with them, if I understood you correctly, what I understood your point to be was.
Yes,
and you
Joe,
say it back to them.
I do want to kill
you want to kill
alpacas.
Okay. All right. Here's why I really agree with that point.
And
then the
I
comments,
have a serious problem.
That's how we want you guys to be. Be civil in the comments, because we can still see your names.
Exactly right. In the comment feed, be civil to each other, folks. Exercise the mission of the show.
Be kind.
Love on each other, even if you disagree.
So for every two disagreements, throw something that's nice about the individual.
Aww.
Just
Production crew.
Oh, but your hair is pretty.
I don't have that much, but thank you.
But you know what? You don't have to agree
not.
with people, but you can hear them and let them know you understood their point.
Joe,
and that's worth a lot.
We may disagree, but you are quite a dapper individual.
We'll be right back. We're going to commercial break right now.
He has to pee.
Hey everybody, Joe Orsak, host of the Whine No Whine Show. And I'm here with my special new guest, Dean DeBassi, brand new sponsor of the Whine No Whine Show. Can't wait till he gets to tell you all about himself.
Hello everyone, my name is Dean DeBassi and I'm with First Choice Loan Services. We close all of our loans on time. We have great rates and low fees. And we have push button get mortgage. All right, just kidding. Just kidding. In all seriousness, folks, We are a boutique mortgage lender, and we lend in 49 states. We choose not to play in the commoditized lending world, such as push button get mortgage. There is no such thing.
Hey everybody, this is Paul Compton with JLA Realty, Houston's fastest growing real estate team, and I'm very pleased to announce that I'll be opening a new office in Spring, Texas. One of the things that I depend upon with my business is being able to refer my clients to a lender that I can trust, because that can be the difference between them being able to buy the home of their dreams or not being able to buy a home at all. So, I've always referred my clients to Dean. He always takes care of them. If you're thinking about getting a home loan, do not go with one of the big guys where you're just going to be a number. Give Dean and his team a chance.
I am a certified mortgage planning specialist. Less than 1% of all your originators have that designation. So, if you are seeking a mortgage and would like to experience a true boutique mortgage experience, please call the number below or go to DeBassiLoans.com. Let us show you why First Choice Loan Services is leading the mortgage lending industry.
So we can call out that person and be like, hey, be nice.
Jaden is my favorite atheist to disagree with.
We're on.
We're live. See, I knew that. That was why I was complimenting Joden before we came back.
Okay,
I said Joden.
Wait, can we take another break?
I said Joden is my favorite atheist to disagree with. Joden said, it's mirroring, Joe. That's what it's called. No, Joden, it's not called mirroring. Mirroring is when you mimic someone's behavior, and through that mimicking of their physical behavior, you convey to them that you agree with them. That's mirroring. I'm not talking about that. Boom! Take that, buddy.
Well, Virgil.
I'm playing, brother. You know that. All right.
Virgil,
no.
I llama you too.
I llama you. Aww. Yes. There's an inside story about the llama thing. We were posting today, and anyway, it's you got to be in the group. Be active in the group because the group is happening right now. I got to give a shout out to the group page. Listen to this. These are some stats for our Facebook group. If you're not in the Facebook group, you're missing out. In the last month, our membership has grown by over 2,000 members. In the last month. In the last month, there have been over 8,000 comments in the last month. 8,000 comments. And of those 8,000 comments, over 2,200 members have been active. That's some mad stats going on.
That's a lot.
There's a lot of people.
It's a lot of whining.
Yep. And it's the Whine to Whine show. Yeah, it's the Whine to Whine show happening every day in the group. And we talk about all kind of stuff. I mean, all kind of stuff. And some of the points that are coming up tonight, we've mentioned on the page. So, I want to get to some comments. I want to get some comments.
Somebody give us
200.
something to comment on.
It looks like we have over 200 comments, so I can't.
Yeah, we've got 725 comments.
There's a lot to filter.
Well, that could be. Oh, that's 7:25 p.m.
That's time.
My bad.
I don't know if Joe went to the bathroom floor, but I think he went to do llamas.
Is that the time now?
So let me tell you about my llama.
The show was over 25 minutes ago, but we're still going.
Yeah.
We were just so excited.
Yeah.
About it.
Listen.
The camera's not even on. Let's just talk.
The show happens.
I love you and you and you.
That's the fun of this. We talk about real stuff.
Joe, you gotta answer me. Why llamas? Why do you hate llamas?
Because it's a random obscure. I talk about llamas and Icelandic tacos. Those are my two very bizarre, obscure references. I do that on purpose because it's a subject that theoretically nobody should have some personal, attachment to.
I honestly thought you hated those llama videos.
No.
With the cartoon llama.
No, I quite like alpacas and
burning room and all that. I thought that's why you hated it.
No, I have no hatred towards them.
I think for Joe's question, I think we've answered it. Religion. Thank you guys. Appreciate you. See you next Friday. 6 p.m.
I hate llamas because I'm Christian.
Alpacas are atheists, so
yes, they deserve it.
They deserve it.
They deserve it. Production crew, do we have any comments?
Watch
yes,
out.
no.
Watch out, they spit.
Nothing. All right, give me Jack over there again.
Yeah, Jack had a great.
Jack Pace. Jack Pace said, My father was always an atheist, but also always accepted the possibility that God exists because, logically, it could not be disproved.
Thank you. Thank you, Jack. Perfect.
It's an interesting...
Ouch!
Here he goes. Here Joe goes.
All right,
It's an interesting argument because I said, you know, in theory, for me, there are really no atheists. There are only agnostics.
True.
Here's my response to that statement.
Okay, statement.
What do you have to lose?
The gambler's clothes.
What do you have to lose if you believe in atheism versus Christianity? Or, well, he says believing in God. That's Christian, right? So what do you have to lose to believe in God? Nothing. Because ultimately, God is love, and you have to love people, and you accept people, and whatnot. So what do you have to lose? That's my question.
But which God are you talking about?
What if it was just a generic God?
But because okay.
Christianity, in my opinion, it's Christianity.
So, a reason I got divorced too, because I always said this joke all the time, was my God can be
What was
your
the divorce
God
one?
any time of the day. To my first ex-wife.
Tell us about your first wife.
Yeah, my first wife. That's the second one. Totally
He said the reason I got divorced too.
Yeah.
That was, I don't know what the first one was about.
I would tell her that, joking around. My God could beat your God any time of the week. Because every religion has a different base of belief of God and what their God says is right. So I get to what you're saying.
How was your wedding, by the way?
Oh, it was awful. It never happened.
I have to say that I've been to some weddings that was like not as planned. But my question is, like, at the end of the day, if you were an atheist versus a Christian, when you die, or when you think of eternity, what do you have to lose? As an atheist, you have eternity to lose. As a Christian, you don't. But on earth, you don't have anything to lose.
You don't. But as a person who's educated in different religions, some religions are really stern. And you have to follow the rules. If not, you're a sinner. Even like, hey, you can't eat pork.
I want to address...
I love pepperoni. So I would be like, no.
But listen, that's it.
I want me a good pork chop.
That is a...
I'd be Jewish, but you lost me at bacon.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It's like, oh, no.
I like bacon?
No, I'm not saying
but
you don't have
a
point.
It's just... But life is a vapor. And whether or not you eat bacon...
And some people smoke it.
But that's the thing.
But whether you eat bacon or not, it has nothing to do with, at the end of the day, that has nothing to do with whether you're going to go, where you're going to spend eternity. At the end of the day. And at the end of the day...
So, I want to address some comments.
Yes,
okay,
Joe.
go ahead.
On your comment.
Please, God. Or please, no God. Whichever camp you're in.
We have a ton of comments. They've been happening the whole time. So, Joden had two different comments that I want to mix together. He said, so if you remove the imaginary friend, you're still left with the basic tenet of be good to each other, no magic necessary.
Right.
Then he said, how many gods are there? Which one do I bet on? Because I have nothing to lose. He's speaking to you.
Right.
I want to address the first...
It's called having morals, and I'm sorry you would lack them without belief in God. That's
right.
What I said.
Yeah, well, first of all, what morals? And based on what? Because I can say I want to kill you. And I don't like your belief. And I'm more bad to the bone than you because I happen to have studied multiple martial arts and I believe in the Second Amendment. So I take you out. And you say it's wrong. Why? Based on what? Your opinion. You have no higher authority than I. So, what is morality if there is no God? You have no morality. There's no way to base morality.
There's human morality.
It's all subjective. It's all subjective.
Not when it comes to humans. It's not subjective when it comes to humans.
We'll get there. I love that debate because you take 10 humans to 1 human. Oh, so now it's the majority of humans who validate the opinion. Well, at that point, you have Nazi Germany who killed off Jews, and you have slavery because the majority of humans thought that was a great idea.
Okay.
Right? So it's all subjective. Right? So hold up. I want to address the first part of Joden's question, then I want to turn it over to you because he was speaking to you.
His comments are good, guys.
Comments are great.
He has a lot of comments.
Oh, yeah.
This show's going on until 9 o'clock.
It is. We'll be here till 10 at least.
I'm sorry about your wife, but we live here now.
Yeah. So listen, I want you to answer his second part because he said.
I called dibs on the queen size.
He said he was addressing you. Joden was addressing you when he said, which God do I believe in? Because there's all these different gods. So if I'm going to roll the dice, right? So I want you to think about that.
Crumb!
I want to address the first part where he said, imaginary friends around the world, invented by humans around the world, believe and be good to one another, the basic tenet. All right, so first of all, believe and be good as a basic tenet, do unto others. Yeah, welcome to the sayings of Jesus, religion. So you can't quote that one. Sorry, I'm going to take that one back. If you want to be an atheist and say be good to people, welcome to China, welcome to Soviet Union, welcome to all of communist governments, humanist secular governments that have killed more people than all of the rest of humanity, all the rest of religions combined, not even close. 10 times to 1.
Sure.
10 times to 1, let me finish. So that's the world, that's humans without God. We're way more murderous, Joden. We're way more murderous without God. That's a fact. It is an inarguable fact of history. I'm unafraid. Let's compare numbers. Let's get the best historians, the best scholars. Let's stack up the deaths attributed to religion. All religions. I'll own the deaths of Islam. I'll own the deaths of Buddhism. I'll pile them all together. And we're still going to be a fraction of the deaths under secular humanism, atheism. That's why you can't just turn it over to the heart of man that is dark. That is dark. Joseph Conrad, Heart of Darkness, Lord of Flies. It's that question that we always ask, is man good or is man evil? Left to his own devices, we will kill people. That's right, the conch. I didn't know what was going on. I was like, wow.
I was doing the conch.
Sorry. I was like, wow, the show just went R over here. Am I right?
I don't know what Joe's saying.
Wow.
I'm into weird stuff, but man, I was like, what's going on?
So there's my answer to the first question. Second question, turn it over to you. Joden said, how do I know which God? You take it away.
This is my personal opinion, so whatever. But at the end of the day,
screw the rest of you. My opinion.
I'll go to hell.
My opinion.
But this is what I truly foundationally believe. I believe that
roll with it.
No.
There is no other God than Jesus, the Trinity.
Okay, why?
God, who will allow you to live your life with mistake and accept you with your mistakes as an imperfect human being than Jesus, because I feel like every other religion, you have to be perfect. You have to have a clean slate. You have to go confess your sin. You have to go do this. You have to, if you fuck up.
But every person,
but
that's the thing. We're all
I feel like the 8th glass of wine.
But that's the thing.
That's the thing.
We're born in sin, though. When you say Jesus,
that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Let her finish, and then we'll turn it over to you.
As a Christian, I believe that there is one God that will allow you to not be perfect and to live your human life with mistake after mistake after mistake and forgive it with no counts.
What if he does?
Okay, hang on.
And he's not going to say, listen, if you have confessed with your mouth and you believe this one thing, that I am the way and the truth and life, then you will be in heaven, no matter what your mistake is. If you confess it, and then if you mess up, you ask for forgiveness, and you try to make it right, and you move on. That's what I believe.
So
and what I'm saying is that,
if I understand your point correctly,
what I'm saying is that I do not know one other religion in the global world that will allow you to be an imperfect person and also accept you in his kingdom. I don't know another religion.
One statement?
And that's why I say...
Pray the gay out of you.
That's why...
Defend that.
I never said that. I never said that. But that is why I say... That's why I say what I said. which was, I forget.
You're answering Jordan's question.
But which was, oh, yeah. How do I know what?
Right.
Right. So that's why I say the only God that I know of that's going to forgive you as an imperfect person, because guess what? We're freaking humans, and that's the bottom line. I'm not freaking perfect. But the only God that has not asked me to be perfect is the one God that I believe, which is Christianity. And guess what? If I believe in him and live my life, I will be okay. But if I don't believe in him and I live my life, I will not be okay for eternity.
Okay.
Okay. If I understand your point correctly, no, I'm giving you, setting it up. If I understand your point correctly, you stated the reason. So summarize what you said.
If I understand your point correctly, and then you say your point.
No,
well, she went on a long one.
Well, it's okay.
I don't remember all of it.
All right, yeah. So to the best of your understanding, say, if I understand your point correctly, you are saying the following.
Yes.
Right.
The following.
And what I disagree with is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Try that on for size.
So, from what I believe, your statement was that your religion, your God, accepts people with their faults,
yes.
Or with their.
I agree.
With their lack of being perfect. But why is it in the gay and transgender community they are shunned from their religion, which usually tend to be Christian based, because they don't meet the moral background of the religion? And it's gotten to a point where they have camps where they pray the gay out of you. That's where that statement comes from. We'll pray the gay out of you. I'm not saying every religion is perfect. I'm not saying that my religion is perfect from your religion, because trust me, Catholics are totally fucked up. But, oh yeah, the Crusades, come on, bro. Like that was just totally dumb. I don't even know why we went there, but we went there.
Keep talking.
He's got to get another box.
No.
He's going to go get the Bible.
He's going to the restroom.
But,
no. Where's our F-bomb?
Oh, we have an F-bomb?
What's the F-bomb?
2 just got dropped.
You dropped it. But I think I dropped it earlier.
Oh, that's so hot. That's awesome. I didn't get one.
This F-bomb has been brought to you by Aldo.
Sorry.
Awesome.
Oh,
So
cool.
she gave you one.
Is it a good thing or a bad thing?
I've been perfect.
But no. But here's no religion is perfect. And my question to Joe is, look, we have so many religions. We have so many beliefs. We have so many disagreements on how things should be. What is the solution to gather people with different faiths, different morals, to sit down and resolve issues peacefully without arguing and coming up with a resolution? Because I feel like our biggest issue in society is that we choose to stick to a certain belief standards, and we do not allow the door of allowing ourselves to change our opinions or the way we see things
Just about
because of that.
Just understand.
No, well, I'm asking Joe because he is the leader of this, and I just got an F-bomb because of it.
I thought he was asking you.
No.
Yes, but
I said Joe.
Okay, but this is my response to that.
Yeah.
This goes back to my statement, which is, you don't have anything to lose if you believe in God, because if you're an atheist and you believe there's no eternal life, when you die you're done, right? Is that what am I wrong?
No, you're correct.
Right. But as a Christian, I believe there's an eternal life, and I do believe that in some retrospect, the way I live now is going to affect my eternity. Okay? Just saying. So, as a Christian who, hold up, and I want to remind all the people on here that there is a bad rep of Christian, and then there's this pocket of Christians who do not agree with the bad rep of Christians. I'm not a street corner preacher. I'm not going to look at you and say you're gay, you're going to hell. I'm not that kind of person, okay?
She does not like street corner preachers.
Not
like that.
Saying. I'm not going to be
You're
in
a
your
street
face.
corner preacher
I'm
tuning
not a
into the
Bible
show.
He threw a Bible at me.
I'm not a Bible singer. Like, that's not who I am. Because at the end of the day, I believe it's more personal than that. And at the end of the day, my version of Christianity is about loving you no matter what you choose to do with your life. I love you as an individual. You're a person. You're a human being with a soul and a spirit, and I love you, right? So if I choose to live my life that way, I know, guess what? If you're right as an atheist and I die, there's no everlasting life. Whatever, I die and I did well in my life, okay? But if I die as a Christian who walked that way and talked that way and die eternally, I'm going to have a promising life.
Okay, but can I also
what do
say
I
that
have to lose?
when we are born, especially into the religion, we are born with being told, hey, you sinned already. The minute you were born with sin. So none of us were born with the expectation.
That's
okay, that's great. We're still in the religion, so hold on with me.
Yeah, no, I'm tracking with you. But that's like half of Christianity.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So like when we're born with that already, we're born with you have sinned already. You just got in this life, baby, and you've already sinned.
Actually
but
that's
let me
Catholicism.
tell you,
That's Catholicism.
But let me tell you,
that's not Christianity.
We got this homie. His name is Jesus. Here to carry you, homie.
Jesus said.
So you are. Jesus didn't say that. God said.
Bro.
So if we want to believe in the three Holy Spirits, God, Jesus,
Spirit.
and the Holy Spirit. Mm-hmm. That's three different entities. Who are we following? Which God?
It's the same person.
Jesus. Jesus is the same person. There's no God, and who's a Holy Spirit.
But the Trinity.
So
we're like delving into some really intricacies of Christianity.
I'm still waiting for Joe to answer my question,
which I'm happy to answer. It's like we can go on for a 4-hour show, but I want to keep it. I want to keep this on point. I honestly was thinking you were asking her, and so I was paying attention to comment feed. It was my fault.
Plus, he had to go to the restroom, and you had to F.
So I apologize. If you can say it again to me really short, I'll answer.
Okay, real quick, how do we find a way to gather all these different religions with different beliefs and different systems to come together and have a civil discussion and come to a resolution on issues like, anything?
I don't think we can.
Yeah, I mean, I will be a skeptic, and
is it possible?
Hang on. So here's the deal. The show, the very mission of the show is that, right? Mm-hmm. In America, to answer the question I posed earlier, which I was honestly kind of stunned by, America's created more freedom. America's created more freedom and more prosperity than any nation in the history of the earth ever. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of stunned by the lack of commitment to answer that question. We're flawed, don't get me wrong. We are jacked up. We definitely have issues. That's not what I'm saying. It's not like we're like America, #1, every category, right? That's not my point.
Except for soccer.
Exactly, right? My point is to say is that America has created more freedom and more liberty than anywhere in the world in the history of humanity. I absolutely believe that, and I would debate anybody who wants to challenge that. I'm happy to. I'm sure there's someone on the comment feed who wants to disagree. That's not my point.
Of course.
But to answer the question posed, my mission in this show is to literally try to create in the minds of America that #1, it's okay to disagree. It's okay. We don't have to agree. It's all right. And #2, to stop being married to an idea, right? Like I have to believe this, and if it's proven wrong, my identity is going to go into crisis. I would suggest rather to fall in love with truth. Truth. Period.
Veritas.
Right? And, yeah, veritas. What is truth? Absolutely. And what is truth? I'm not even asserting any kind of absolute. I'm just saying fall in love with truth. In that I'm not afraid to have my ideas challenged. Do I argue them passionately? Absolutely. My wife is like, you just think you're always right. I'm like, of course I do. Would you rather I argued and believing I'm wrong? I'm like, I really don't believe this, but I'm going to argue it passionately.
Should we bring her as the fifth?
Yeah, right?
Yeah, hey, we got room on the couch.
So I'm like, I will argue everything I believe passionately with everything I've got. And if you can shoot it down, frickin' rock and roll, man.
Kudos. I have changed my beliefs. I have evolved my thinking.
Oh my gosh, me too.
I'm not married
Absolutely.
to any idea.
Yeah,
I'm married
And
to
so,
learning.
right, exactly.
Learning.
I'm married to truth. I'm married to
Can
that.
I interject my
And,
something?
I'm going to wrap up, and I promise,
Okay,
I'll
yeah.
wrap up. To answer his question, right? To your question, what can we do, right? All I can do is try to convince people not to be married to an idea, to fall in love with truth, and to accept the idea that anytime we have these kind of conversations where we're not hating on each other, we're just enjoying conversation, we're enjoying each other with the idea that in the background, I'm married to truth. That's all I'm seeking, right?
Thank you, everybody. That's the answer.
That's always a win. Always a win. And I'll tell you, in my own personal beliefs, now this dials it into my religious beliefs, right? That Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, right? He identified himself literally as the truth. So I believe that when I am encouraging people to fall in love with the truth and to fall in love with pursuing truth over everything, I believe that I am encouraging people to fall in love with Jesus. All right?
You are.
And that's the mission of the show. I've never voiced that publicly. Never voiced that. That's the real mission of the show.
And Jesus
right?
had wine out of water.
Right? He did. He did. And I'm
You
not
had a party.
I'm not
I don't even have any wine, but
I'm not afraid of that. I'm not afraid of that statement. I just don't want to push people away with that statement, right? I want to bring everybody to the table and fall in love with truth. I just happen to believe that when you fall in love with truth, you're also falling in love with Jesus. That's what I believe, right? So, but I want to welcome everybody to that dialogue. And so, you know, there's one side of me that's a skeptic and that looks at humanity and says, yeah, we're so jacked.
Yeah.
We're so jacked. But there's the other side that's kind of the...
What?
But another
kind of
way
the
to,
optimist, I'm hopeful.
pointing at you that way, but another way to answer all those questions.
Do you remember what you were going to say, by the way?
Another way
No?
to answer
All right.
all those questions is the golden rule.
Do unto others.
That's it.
But how do you do that when you're an atheist?
It has nothing to do with
Because Jesus said it.
That has nothing to do with Jesus.
I'm a quote.
I was kind of being playful when I said that. I'm sorry.
You're being playful, Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan recently said, like, one of the biggest
I love
things
Joe Rogan,
about
man.
his podcast is he learned to listen and not argue. That when you're discussing something with somebody, 9 times out of 10, you want to argue back your statement, your belief. He learned, let's listen first and not want to argue.
Isn't
because
there like
there's
some kind of conversational
because, like,
statistical thing about...
to me would push
I mean,
my
sales.
belief of wait I could be wrong.
Seek
as a Catholic,
first to understand.
was
less talking, more listening, whatever. It's like some kind of like
was South
percentage.
Park.
I mean, there's
when they did the episode of Satan, and they were like, you had the Catholics, you had the Jews, you had all these, and they're like, wait, but I was like devoted, and I did this, and they're like, you chose the wrong religion.
Oh, wah, wah, wah.
And so,
And I love how this whole conversation just brought down to South Park.
exactly. Nope.
Yeah.
Shameless plug, even though it's not shameless because I'm
Shameless
not
plug.
working there.
Yeah. Just stay tuned here.
Yeah.
Fridays at 6 p.m. every Friday.
All right, so guys, I know already. I'm kind of thankful for a natural pause in the conversation here. Production said these people are talking.
They're out.
They're out.
Production crew was like, these people are gonna talk for the next like 5 hours.
So we still have 30 minutes.
All right.
So,
this was
you
an
got
epic.
questions?
It was an epic show, but I'm gonna choose this point to wrap up, and I'll let the guys here, the crew, say their goodbyes. I'm gonna go over and stop the feed.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
Wait, stop. Said, I need you all to branch out. Be it religion or be it being your own person. Don't be a jerk. Be nice to people. Be compassionate. Be
Hallelujah.
kind.
Yes.
Every day. Instead of thinking of the very first thing that pops into your mind that is not cool, good, that is not beautiful, that is not Jesus, that is not the universe. Be nice, be kind, and rewind.
All right. Yeah.
Blockbuster.
All right. So I have to give the rating first because I'm gonna go stop feed after y'all are done. We're gonna rate the wine.
Okay.
Today's wine.
Oh, this is the wine.
Yes.
Oh, I gotcha.
Today's wine was the Oak, and it is from Santa Barbara, California.
Wait, I need another taste of it.
Oh, we're done. That bottle is gone.
You can have maybe a couple sips there.
I kid. It's fine.
That was pretty hot.
That was awesome.
Good thing the missus is in here.
Oh, she's here. She got her feet upstairs.
The show just went R. We just lost our PG-13 rating.
Taste more wine. I
From the person who did drop the F-bomb too.
think I might have actually.
So yeah, I think it was in there.
Before, that's why.
Yeah.
I didn't. Hello, Jesus. Hi.
Love you. I gotta pray.
Love you.
Oh, wait, Jesus is on the internet?
See you at Christmas. You know me.
Hey, Jesus is always watching the feed, baby. So we're gonna. It was such a fun show. Such a fun show. Look, this is the mission of the show right here. I mean, we had some like very strong disagreement, and yet
This is absolutely the mission position
we're
of the show.
It's the wine / alcohol.
That's oh my God.
we are having a good time. We're enjoying each other's company, right?
Yeah.
Right.
We're enjoying each other's company, yet we passionately have disagreed with each other. We've brought up like points for each other to consider and really
We
ponder.
have agreed to disagree.
We've agreed to disagree.
We have agreed.
Yeah.
Civilly.
That's the mission of the show.
We've agreed and we've agreed.
And we disagreed as well.
And we've disagreed too.
Take the mission of the show and share it with the world. I don't care. I'm not trying to make $1 million off the show. I don't care. I just want to save America, one civil conversation at a time.
He's trying to make 1 million people think.
That's exactly. That's so well said.
You're welcome.
So, all right. So we're gonna rate the wine, Chardonnay, 2014, called the Oak. It's from California, Santa Barbara, and it's definitely oaky. But I will tell you, I'm not a big fan of the oaky flavor. It's not my thing. I don't like oak. I like a less kind of a bite. But I'll tell you, I was really kind of pleasantly surprised. Given the name, I was not expecting a whole lot from it. But it was a pretty doggone smooth wine. And a kind of inside joke, it was buttery. It was buttery.
So it's keto.
Oaky.
So,
I don't know if that's it. I guess
Yeah.
if it's butter, it's keto. I don't know if it was a
I don't
fat
know.
Oh, it's not
fold.
vegan?
Maybe
It's not a vegan.
Beagle. It's not a beagle.
A beagle?
That's our next topic, vegals.
Beagles.
Fired.
Beagles.
So I am giving it a four plum.
Wow.
It's supposed to be grape.
They're grapes. Wow.
It's supposed to be grapes, but they're plums.
It's a
He
white
made
grape,
these, by the
too,
way.
Yeah,
by the
I'm
way.
giving it a 4, and I'm going behind the camera now to prepare to shut the camera off. But it's a 4 for me.
Monique, you?
How do y'all
I
rate
give
it?
it a 4.
Why? What did you taste? Was it body?
It just was easy to drink,
Hey.
and it was not a bad taste, and I enjoyed it.
Oh, my turn. Oh, I gave it a 4 as well. I actually do like the oak flavor. Not like Joe. I don't know why he ate. Yeah, because I'm
Did you
into
hold
like
your sign up?
oh,
Give it a 4.
I'm into like strong flavor. It wasn't super strong, super bitter. It was a good even blend. You have flavor, you have robust. Overall, pretty decent.
Excellent. I am a darker the berry, sweeter the wine kind of juice girl. So I delighted in it. It didn't have very long legs, and I like long legs in my wine. But for being a branch, Monica Branch, it was oaky, if you know what I mean. So I'm going to go ahead and give this bad boy 3.5.
Hence the oak.
3.5. All right.
3.5 on the oaks.
Well, I want to keep to my stance of saying something nice. Joe, awesome show as always.
Thank you guys for being around.
So
Also commentator, filling
I
in
just
for
realized.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'm a rookie. Thank you for letting
as
me.
did great.
For your
Monique,
first time,
my first
Monique.
time.
Broke her
I
wine.
just
Yeah.
She broke her wine
realized
cherry.
that I normally do the outro, but I'm going to push the stop button. So I'm going to turn it over to veteran grapehead Monica to do our wrap up for the show. Tell everybody where to follow us, to be involved in the show and all that stuff. It's all her. I've never prepped her for this, so it's all rookie status right now. And go, Monica!
Okay, guys, thank you. If you hung around this long, thank you so much. For Monique, say something on the outro.
Hey, thank you for letting me be here.
That's
my
it.
first time.
Aldo.
45 Art Center. We're having the anime event in August. Check us out on Facebook.
And check out the Whine No Wine Show. If you know Joe Orsak, if you know Monique, you know Monica Branch, you know Aldo, make sure to just click on our names. Check out this show every Friday, 6 p.m. without latents. You'll never know what's on. You're going to love the conversation, so make sure to see us again. And until then, in Vino Veritas.